There are two major news items entering the race here in Italy. The first of which involves two cars that are starting the race, Julian Alexander and Tyson Lautenschlager. Of course, both these cars, small teams, were not expected to be on the entry list. Their entries were questioned by Flavio Vespucci, the boss of Aerotech, and unfortunately for Flavio, those two entries were allowed, and Alexander and Lautenschlager would both start the race. And of course, if those two cars had been disqualified from the qualifying race, the two Aerotech cars driven by Enzo Medina and Alonso Tosia would both start the race. So Flavio is not exactly winning the hearts over with the Master Cup Series officials just at the moment. The other news item I think is going to be one we're going to hear a lot more about, and that is the 2010 TM Master Cup Series calendar, which is scheduled to be released in less than a week. But the big controversy over that is that there's going to be 18 rounds, but over 50% of them are believed to be road courses, and over 50% of them are believed to be outside the United States, which does not exactly sit too well with some people in the paddock, in particular Garth McAllister Sr. and Peter Keyes, both of whom are team owners, and of course Donald McKinney, the boss of Flair Motorsports, doesn't seem too keen on the idea of going international. However, what has been the main case here is that, of course, Garth McAllister has been long saying that the Master Cup Series is an oval racing championship, that road courses are not the main course. They are only they're only a minority, and they should stay that way. Of course, this is kind of interesting coming from Garth because back in 1978 was the last time that the TM Master Cup Series ran a calendar that was mostly road courses, and of course 1 year later they absorbed the only oval racing American Stock Car Championship, which was based mostly in the South, and that's of course where Garth McAllister and his ilk are from. Of course, not all of them. Of course, Peter Keyes is from New York, but that's a different story. He has a lot of ties to the American Stock Car Championship and its roots, rather. But ever since 1979, the TM Master Cup Series has been at least 75% oval tracks. And a lot of the main tracks on the American Stock Car Championship Tour, such as Talladega, Daytona, the Oval in Rockingham, and the couple of tracks in Texas, along with many others that are currently on the TM Junior Series calendar. I'm also thinking of tracks such as Atlanta, the Martinsville circuit, many others. They have been trumping the traditional TM Master Cup Series tracks which have been in the Midwest. Of course, the traditional Master Cup Series tracks such as Carbondale, Milwaukee, which has not been on the Master Cup Series calendar for 4 years. Tracks like Indianapolis, the Indianapolis Raceway Park circuit, which has not been on the Master Cup Series calendar in 12 years, and many others. And this is not going to be the end of this. I think we're going to hear a lot more of this debate. Of course, Garth McAllister Sr. has said that he does not want to be a part of a Master Cup Series that is more international and, well, more road courses. And I think, frankly, he's just having a whinge, but he might be serious. So we'll have to see how this turns out. Anyway, I've gone over long. Dan, off to you. Thank you, Lance. The clutch pole award goes to car number 90, driven by Milano Rossini, the only Italian in the field, gets pole on home turf. Outside the front row, Leon Keniston in car number 3. A good old American short track racer. Of course, this track is part of an Italian karting facility. Of course, this is actually sort of like this is actually sort of behind it, and those movable grandstands put in here just for this race. Rossini gets a good jump into the lead. Ethan Everett jumps into second. Leon Keniston is going to have to slot down into third. But Rossini has a very good start, and he's leading the first lap. Ethan Everett, though, is right on him, and on lap 4, Ethan Everett makes a look under Rossini going down the back straightaway, and much to the displeasure of the home crowd, Ethan Everett's going to sweep around Milano Rossini, and he takes over the lead of the race. And Everett starts to pull away, as you see the rest of the field here coming by. Everyone very well aligned, going all the way through the field. Kurt Pliskin here challenging Rossini for the 4th position. Of course, Milano Rossini slowly drifting back. The home crowd very much cheering for him to win this race. However, it doesn't look like that's happening right now. You see Milano Rossini's teammate, Danny Salvin, in that green car back there right behind him, but Rossini still has some fighting spirit. He's not going to let Kurt Pliskin get away with it. This is Tyson Lautenschlager in car number 80, this white car here. This is the first time the Greg Whitaker entry has started a race. You'll also notice that black and yellow number 0 of Julian Alexander. The third time the Alex Harrison car started a race this season. Of course, these two cars are the only cars in the field that don't have any manufacturer backing. Craig Janser in car number 5 hasn't been seen on a Master Cup Series track in a long time. He is actually going to be moving down to the TM Junior Series. He does have some talent, but he just doesn't have the luck, it seems. And of course, the injured Craig car hasn't been particularly fast this year. Alexis Rainsford is currently running in 11th position at the moment. You see Tony Durbin back there running in 14th, Lewis Kingston behind her, and Leonard Roderick at this point of the race is running in 8th. Also, you'll notice right in front of Leonard Roderick, Brian Sendak having a particularly good run. Kurt Pliskin, car number 16, is here running in the 2nd position. Pliskin having a very good season so far. He needs a good run in order to keep his championship hopes alive. Here we are on lap 18, and Arto Kekkonen, on the other hand, is someone who needs a good run, but he's not getting one right now. He is currently 38th on lap 18, so Kekkonen not having a very good run here. Kekkonen is someone who has sort of struggled on the oval tracks, and he's had a very rough week. Here's Alan Hodges in the 13 car. For once, he hasn't qualified all the way in the back. Hodges has found qualifying in the past 5 rounds to be particularly a weakness of his. However, he's running in right around midfield, around 21st, 22nd. Here's Ryan Araki on the inside of Hodges, who has also had a disaster of a season. Hodges, on the other hand, has had a very good season. He's currently 5th in the standings, trying to gain some ground on his points rivals. Leon Keniston and Brian Sendak having a particularly good battle here. We're going to watch this for a minute. Keniston is actually being rumored to take over Brian Sendak's ride, the car number 40 for Ocean Motorsports, which will be the Ocean Motorsports 4th car. Of course, Sendak holding off Keniston here. These two guys, it's kind of interesting here. Leon Keniston started his background on the short tracks. Brian Sendak has only been stock car racing for 10 years. Of course, Sendak started his career with motorcycles. He did some stock car racing before he made it into MotoGP, but not a whole lot of it. Keniston leading Sendak here around this track. Ethan Everett, in the meantime, is pulling away from the rest of the field. No one seems to be able to touch him, very much like he was in the TM Lights race in Twin Ring Motegi in Japan, where he won in his first start. Everett having a fantastic showing so far. The 18-year-old showing that he is not just a one-hit wonder. He has set fastest lap of the race, and he is pulling away from Kurt Pliskin, Palmer Styles, and drivers far more experienced than he is in clean air. Open up quite a big gap. Of course, Ethan Everett will then lead the field down for green flag pit stops. Of course, this would prove to be a bit of a mistake because the first caution flew on lap 38, while Everett had made his pit stop. While pit stop is cycling out, Kurt Pliskin is going to come back onto the racetrack. Oops, Mike Whitmore is on his way into the pits. The nature of this track sort of makes pit lane entry and pit exit a bit of a mess there. Can't really blame anyone for that. We're going to see some other cars that had made pit stops right before then. This is pretty much the entire field here, and they're all going to get put a lap down as a result of this. Here you see the incident in the back, but look how many cars had committed to the pit lane. Of course, Ethan Everett in particular would suffer, but he would also suffer from Leon Keniston having some brain fade, or was angry at Ethan Everett for something. Of course, Leon Keniston and Ethan Everett were racing against each other in the Arlo race at the Dwyer Speed Park in Minnesota. Possibly some bad blood there, but I'm really not sure what that was all about. Leon Keniston was called to the hauler. Lauren Roth in car number 39 led on the restart just by virtue of staying out under the yellow and not pitting. However, watch what he does. Hits the pit lane immediately after the restart. Stuart Sandoval in the 77 following him. That would give Dale Roswell in car 19 the lead. Roswell's future in the Master Cup Series a bit uncertain, but he said he will be racing here in 2010. Tyson Lautenschlager in car number 80 would actually take over the lead. He was one of those cars that stayed out along with the 24 of Matthias Taub, who moves up into the 2nd position. Lautenschlager having a particularly good run here. Of course, Taub now having a peek for the lead, and he's going to get it coming into turn 3 as Lautenschlager gets held up behind Kurt Pliskin. Taub begins to pull away with Dale Roswell taking over the second position. Milano Rossini holding on to third, and then Lautenschlager back in fourth. Rossini having a very good run here, arguably the best drive of his career, and the best we've ever seen him run since Cariala. Chris Allen in car number 7 currently sits in the 5th position. Allen is going to be going down to the TM Junior Series next season. He is going to be driving the number 159 Owen DeGarmo Enterprises car that Manny Brown ran to 2 race wins in that series in his first 2 starts in that car. So Chris Allen will definitely be getting in some good machinery, which is sort of what he needs, because Chris Allen has been one of the most anonymous people on the Master Cup Series circuit this season. Arto Kakinen has been climbing up through the field. Here he is. He's running in the midfield, battling with Marcus Leonard for position. He is a lap down due to a pit stop. However, most of the field at this point is a lap down. Here's Dale Roswell, car number 19, as he takes over the lead from Matthias Taub in the number 24 car. Roswell having a very strong run. He is the oldest driver in the series by about 10 years. The second oldest driver is right in front of him, Alan Foster in the 69, and Roswell is older than Foster by about 10 years. Here is Chris Allen in car number 7. Whoops, trips over Kevin Colley in the 44 there. Doesn't bring out a yellow for some reason. I'm not quite sure why, but Allen is able to make it into the pit lane there without any incident. The second caution, though, came out 1 lap later on lap 79. Tony Durbin and Damian Snyder exiting the pits, and Snyder puts Tony Durbin into the outside wall. I believe this is the second race in a row that Damian Snyder has collided with his teammate, and you wonder why the team is getting rid of Snyder at the end of the season. Mike Whitmore, car number 73, led on the restart, but that was a very short restart because the caution flew right after it. And you probably saw a bit of this. Palmer style spin Stuart Sandoval into the pit wall, and Sandoval's car gets some air in the back, and you also see Chris Allen spinning. Chris Allen gets turned by his teammate Chris Johans in car number 22. Allen spins his car into the pit lane, and he gets it righted, but looks like we've had a bit of a case of teammates colliding with each other. Chris Allen, however, restarted in second with Lauren Roth in the lead. Danny Sav in car number 91 trying to get back on the lead lap. Chris Allen, you see him getting stuck behind some of these lap cars. He doesn't appear to have the speed to get around them. Guys like Ross Peterson and Danny Sav, very formidable short track racers, along with Kurt Pliskin, more so than Chris Allen, who just gets bogged down behind them. There you see Milano Rossini. He's currently, I believe he's right behind him. Here is Alexis Rainsford in car number 27, who is not having a very good run at all. She's currently in 38th place. So Alexis, she's trying to defend her championship. This is not the way she's supposed to do it. Rainsford's new sponsor, Lynx, was announced earlier this week, along with the launch of the Volpe team. Lauren Roth continues to pull away from the rest of the field. Here is Ethan Everett in car number 21, who's going to get spun around by Kyle Schmulewitz in car number 12. This resulted in Kyle Schmulewitz being called to the hauler, but that was largely, I think, because Ethan Everett's car made contact with the pit wall. Milano Rossini continuing to have a great run in front of the home crowd. They were cheering him on, and of course Rossini will be driving for Corsa in 2010, which is just about what every Italian wants to be driving, a Corsa. Incident on lap 118, and it's for Tom Delgado doing that. Well, that's a fairly clumsy way to exit a race. Tom Delgado just drives his car straight into the pit wall. I'm not sure if that was frustration just for how bad he was running. Delgado was not running too well at the time of his exit from the race. On lap 124, Chris Allen leads the rest of the field into the pits. However, not too many other cars come in. A caution on lap 128 may have made Chris Allen think twice about coming in so early. And this is for Matthias Taub trying to make the pit lane. Never mind, he misses it. Comes back up the track. Collects Lauren Roth in probably the clumsiest move I've seen all race. And probably for the clumsiest move I've ever seen all season, for that matter. When you just gas it up and... Never mind. Craig Youncer in car number 5 led the field coming down to the green flag. I believe these are the first laps Craig Youncer has led this season in this 5 car. Either way, he's doing a pretty good job because he's able to hold on. Alexis Range for the car right behind him is not on the same lap. And it took Leonid Roderick a considerable amount of time just to get up and take the lead away from Craig Youncer. Goes underneath the 26 car of Scott Stoyler, put him another lap down. Here comes Curtis Darcy around the number 5 car of Craig Youncer. Alan Foster in the number 69 car and Chris Johans in the 22 car are battling for 4th. As you see right here, Foster and Johans. Leonid Roderick pulled away a little bit from Darcy. However, Darcy was beginning to reel in Roderick, but found Roderick very difficult to pass. However, Darcy, you see, is finally going to get the move done with very few laps left in the race. Roderick is coming in with 5 laps to go, but he also makes a mistake. He misses the pit lane entrance and nearly wipes out Julian Asova. So Roderick drops himself all the way to 4th. Here's Chris Johans, who is currently running now in 4th, trying to enter the pits. He gets spun around in the front of Lewis Kingston's car. Zach Duff hits him. The steering goes on the number 28 Volpe, and he slams the pit wall. With just 5 laps to go, and there's still no yellow out, so the flagman needs to be given a shot of adrenaline or something. Now this is in the pit lane. Damian Snyder pulls into the pits. Leonid Roderick comes in, and I guess he's trying to make amends to his teammates. He makes it up for him by pretty much stuffing up Leonid Roderick's chances of getting a decent finish in the pits. So with 5 laps to go, all hell breaks loose. Ethan Everett then gets into Roderick, spins him in the right direction, and is able to point Roderick out of the pits, but by then he's already a couple laps down. Finally, the yellow comes out with just 2 laps to go, and it's for this. Chris Johans in car 22 is exiting the pits. Palmer Styles is entering. Styles doesn't see Johans, spins him around. And there goes Alan Foster right by him. Foster is going to cross the yellow line, in 3rd. However, when the 2 cars in front of him were already in the pits, that promoted him up to 1st, which means that Alan Foster, for the first time in 3 years, he's going to win a TM Master Cup Series race since his final year, or at least what was supposed to be his final year, in 2006. Alan Foster in 1st, Craig Youncer in 2nd, Brian Sendak 3rd, Tony Durbin 4th, Arto Kekkonen, way to make the best of a bad day. Kekkonen jumps all the way up to 5th, Scott Bates 6th, Alan Hodges 7th, Curtis Darcy in 8th, Rachel Rainsford in 9th, and Ryan Naraki, his 2nd top 10 all season. Ryan Naraki has not had a very good season so far, but this is probably the most bizarre end to a race I've seen ever. And here are the top 10 in the point standings, with Tony Durbin on top with Alexis Rainsford currently 2nd. Arto Kekkonen jumps up to 3rd, 25 points out of 1st. Leonid Roderick, as a result of getting stuffed up in the pits by first of all himself, and then Damian Snyder, drops down to 4th, 31 points out, and then Alan Hodges in 5th is 46 points back of 1st. He made up a bit of ground. But here's the interesting bit. There's a huge gap, 67 points between Alan Hodges and Dale Roswell, who's tied with Mike Whitmore, and then behind Whitmore is a tie between Drew Wiseman and Kurt Pliskin. And then alone in 10th is Lewis Kingston. Now these are the only cars that are mathematically eligible for the championship, but 6th through 10th all of them need a miracle in order to keep their championship hopes alive, because they're all way out of the lead at this point with just 2 races left to go. And here's 11 through 20. All these cars mathematically eliminated from the title. Nasova, Stoidler, Snyder, Rachel Rainsford, Danny Savin, Gary Edwards. Has been a pretty good season from him, but he's going to be moving over to the Camelot Racing Team along with the guy in 17th in the standings, Chris Johans. Ryan Araki moves up to 18th in the standings. And when I said this was his second top 10 this season, I'm going to stand corrected. This is his 3rd. But Ryan Araki has had 6 DNFs and a lot of very clumsy incidents that have, well, let's just put it this way. It's no wonder why Team SAR USA is going to be getting rid of Naraki for the 2010 season. And it also sort of explains why nobody has actually picked Ryan Naraki up for a drive in 2010. Ross Peterson, 19th in the points. He's had a lot of DNFs, but he's also had a lot of very strong runs, and Stuart Sandoval, who has yet to score a top 5 this season. That's all for this week in the TM Master Cup Series. I'll see you next time.